Good evening, Central Illinois. Good evening, Sports 2.0 Network fans. Welcome to the Colten Kahler Show. I am your host, Colten Kahler. Pleased to be joined tonight on late notice by Tanner Kern. Tanner, thanks for dropping in with about a few minutes left and coming on here to talk sports.
Hey, no problem, man. Anytime I get to talk sports with anyone on the Sports 2.0 Network, it's a good night. So you texted me a few minutes ago. It's a no-brainer.
Busy day here in sports. We had some MLB day games. We had football tonight. We'll get to that later. We have our Pigskin Pick'em. We'll have my top 10 as I'm frantically filling that out because I forgot to put that on my show document today. So we're doing all right. But we're going to start with a little bit of Ryder Cup. And you mentioned to me you're not a big golf guy, which is fine. I can kind of carry this one because Rodney and I talked a little bit about it last night on his show. Ryder Cup kicks off tomorrow. It's kind of the World Cup of soccer, if you will, where I mentioned last night it's an excuse for everyone to be patriotic and get drunk for about 3 days and watch golf. So tomorrow kicks off 7 a.m. The format for the morning sessions, there'll be 2 sessions tomorrow. The first morning session is foursomes or alternate shot. So could see tonight at the pairing party, the pairing dinner, will Bryson and Brooks be paired together? There's been a lot of conversation about that. The afternoon sessions are best ball, so they'll play match play as well for that. And then on Sunday, it is Sunday singles. I've been looking at U.S. is they look better on paper than Team Europe does, but as we know in this format, that doesn't mean anything. You throw it out the window because you play for a little bit of patriotic pride and bring the Ryder Cup back to your country. Last time we had the Ryder Cup was 2018 at Le National Golf Club. Europe defeats the United States 17.5 to 10.5. It's the first team to 14.5 points. So if you win a match, you get a point. If you tie, you each get half a point. Kind of how that works there. And I'll ask you, how much of the golf world do you pay attention to at all?
I mean, I knew about the Bryson Brooks controversy.
Okay.
I mean, I like Kisner a lot because I'm a Barstool guy, so I watch all his clips on Barstool. But yeah, I mean, I've been to a few. I've been to the Travelers Championship in Connecticut. I love it. It's great. But I'm a Masters Sunday guy sort of thing. I mean, I'm not diving deep into the golf world, but I do love it.
Because that was kind of where I was going with my next thought was the whole Bryson Brooks thing, and we've seen this week their videos from the range. And they kind of, are making things up, But my question is, are they really kind of making it more than it seems to be to kind of fuel that PIP thing that the PGA Tour's got going on, where they're going to get a lot more?
Who am I to guess? Only those guys know what's going
on. Is that Whistling Straits? The last major tournament that was held there was the 2015 PGA Championship, and the last person the person that won the Wanamaker that year, Jason Day. So it's been a while since Whistling Straits has really seen championship tour golf, but we're going to be in for a good one because it looks like the weather is decent this weekend, and anytime it's the Ryder Cup, you're going to get a good fight, especially out of Team Europe.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for it. I'll be tuning in on my phone a little bit, but I'm all Red Sox Yankees this weekend. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Rodney talked about that last night. It's like, what, the millionth series that these two teams have played between each other this year?
Yeah, they've played a lot between each other. It's good the last one's at Fenway, though. It's good. It's great because we play a lot better at home.
Oh, it's at Fenway this weekend, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, and I saw that you talked about it on your show the other night about Garrett Cole getting booed off the mound at Yankee Stadium, and you weren't a big fan of it. But are you okay if Garrett Cole gets booed off the mound on Sunday night?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going. Is he going tomorrow night?
Is it tomorrow? I can't remember if it was tomorrow or Sunday.
He's going against Pavetta tomorrow night. I could be wrong. I mean, let me make sure. Let's see here. Yeah, he is. So yeah, it's Cole versus Valdi tomorrow night. All right. So Cole versus Valdi, very excited for that. If he gets booed off the mound tomorrow, I'm gonna challenge this. I'm gonna say that's not good actually because it's in Fenway. So the Red Sox fans would only boo him if he pitches well.
I'm not big in the. I don't pay attention a lot to the American League. So what's kind of. I mean, obviously the rundown right now is the wild cards pretty much between the Blue Jays, the Yankees, and the Red Sox.
Yeah.
So are you kind of feeling that the Red Sox are going to get that? What are the standings at? Do you know? I probably should
so I think
do my research, but
Red Sox. Hey, it's all good. Hey, you didn't know you're having a Red Sox guy on the show. Boston 2 games up on the Yankees for the second spot, and then they're 2.5 games up on Toronto. So Toronto's on the bubble right now. Boston, New York would come to Boston the way it is here. I got to throw this comment up on the screen. My man Saeed Escalante Sosa. Dude, come on Parlay Power Hour at 10 o'clock tomorrow and talk to us about the game. That's all we're going to be talking about. But yeah, I'm very excited about this series. The Red Sox, literally, it's about surviving this weekend. We get through the series. We take 2 or 3 from the Yankees. We sweep the Yankees, whatever. We go face the Orioles and the Nationals next week. Man, it's easy money. The Yankees got to finish with the Blue Jays, and the Rays. That's not an easy task.
I'm trying to
schedule too. So
I'm trying to figure out what's going on in Baltimore, because for a team that's just bad and they have, really nothing left in the season, and then Philly is still trying to fight for a wild card spot in the NL, and they're struggling with Baltimore. Is it at the point where Baltimore, they've got a bunch of young kids who are just fighting for a roster spot for next year, and it kind of adds a little extra motivation? I mean, how is Philly, a possible playoff team, struggling with Baltimore?
Well, when you look at Baltimore, Baltimore's going to be really good in the future, right? They got a great farm system coming up, but right now they're just not there. Obviously, they lose a lot of games. When I look at Philly, we look at the NL, right? With Philly, congratulations to your Cardinals, man. You're a Cardinals fan, right?
Yes, big Cardinals fan.
Congratulations to them. I think at the beginning, I saw Jared Carrabis from Barstool tweeted something. It was like at the beginning of August, they were 5 games back with 4 teams ahead of them, or something like that. Maybe
something
more.
Like that. Yeah, we had like a 2% chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah, now they're 5 games up. Won again today. I saw it better on BetMGM or Caesars put like $95,000 on them to win today, or no, 200 and something thousand.
Jeez, yeah, someone made a lot of money.
But yeah, when are they going to lose? I don't know when they're going to lose.
Right. Well, I thought it was going to be today. We'll get to this a little bit later. Actually, we're in the MLB segment. We can go there now. The Cardinals won 12 in a row today. It's beat their longest streak of 20 years. The magic number is now down to 6. Third straight sweep. They swept the Mets. They swept the Padres, and they've now swept the Brewers in a 4-game series. And if you would have told me that we would have been going into Monday night against Willie Peralta, while we have been hitting well against Peralta lately, and then we get Woodruff the next night, and we pitch John Lester and Jake Woodford.
Yeah.
And the fact that we won those games, I would have told you no way. And they pull it out. And then today, we have our ace going in the day game on YouTube, and he gives up a grand slam in the first inning. We're down 5-0 after 4. And they come back and score 8 straight. Just absolute pandemonium. The Brewers bullpen absolutely blew it today. And I was coming out of class when we were down 5-0, went into class. I come out, and they somehow make a rally. And I'm like, what? And my phone's blowing up. I've got all my Cardinal fans that were already poo-pooing the day. Oh, our winning streak's over. I'm like, well, you relax. It's the first inning. And they find a way. Flaherty starts tomorrow in a doubleheader at Wrigley. And Dakota Hudson is a big pitching prospect for the Cardinals. And I really don't know how to feel about his return. Looks like we got a comment here from Alec.
Yeah, don't throw that up there.
We'll put that up there. I'm not sure. Oh, yep.
Alec, you never text me anymore, so I don't want to hear from you.
How about them Cardinals? How about them Cardinals? Is exactly what I said today when they came back and they tied it. It's pure devil magic, and it's the St. Louis Cardinals at their best, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, you got to get hot in September. You don't want to get hot in August. Everyone was making a big deal about the Yankees I'm an American League guy, right? So
right. Yep.
But everyone's making a big deal about the Yankees getting hot in August. They get to September, they can't win a game now. They got the worst record in September along with the Baltimore Orioles. So it's like the Cardinals got hot at the right time. Granted, the Cardinals did get pretty hot in August, I guess, towards the end of August, right? They're starting to heat up a little bit.
A little bit, yes.
Yeah, I mean, so they got hot at the right time. And granted, you know what? The way they're playing right now, they could go to Dodger Stadium and knock the Dodgers off in one game. I don't think it's going to happen, but they could do it.
Alex says Red Sox and my Cardinals being the two teams nobody wants to play in October, and that's very true. It would be bring me on a show and let's have some fun. Hey, you're more than welcome on my show. Of course, I will talk baseball with anybody, especially Cardinal baseball.
You got my number, Alec. Why don't you text me? Don't throw a Saeed. Saeed's going to ruin the show. He's just going to talk. Right, you save that for tomorrow. MLB picks at 9:30, Parlay Power Hour at 10. Yeah, you don't want to face the Red Sox or the Cardinals right now. And I look at the Red Sox ever since they put the yellow jerseys on, they haven't lost, and they're going to keep wearing them.
What is with the yellow jerseys? I don't understand that.
So it's Boston Marathon.
Okay.
Marathon colors and stuff. So I love them. I think they're great. If you don't live in this area, you're not a Red Sox fan, you probably hate them. But they are winning in them, so that's what matters, I guess. But yeah, you don't want to face the Red Sox. You don't want to face the Cardinals right now because they're hot, and you don't want to face a hot team in the playoffs. And it's crucial that the Red Sox get this wild card game at home because our splits are so much better at home than they are on the road. Our pitchers play a lot better, pitch a lot better at home. So yeah, would I love to see the Cardinals go knock off the Dodgers? I think that would be great. And I love the Dodgers too. I just think it'd be cool to see, these underdogs that nobody expects to do anything actually do something in the postseason.
And I've been saying for a long time that this season reminds me so much of 2011 when the Cardinals were, terrible throughout most of the year, and they late August, early September, they fight their way back. They get into the playoffs, the wild card on game 162. They beat the Phillies, I believe, in the NLDS in 5 games. They beat who would have been in the NLCS that year? Anyways, they absolutely run the table, and I'm kind of getting the same vibes this year from this team. And who knows? I mean, for a team that could get to, I don't think we can get to 70 wins. No, we should be able to get to 90 wins if we continue our trend. Yes, Brewers in 7. Yes, thank you, Alec. I was having a brain fart there. Freeze was the NLCS. That was a crazy series there, and it kind of makes my next point. The Brewers won the Central that year. They were kind of the stud in that division all year, and the Cardinals come into the NLCS and pretty well put a beating on them. The rest is history. It's getting down to that time of the year where things are starting to get crazy, Tanner.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like playoff baseball. I say it every time I get the opportunity. And the best part about the playoffs is, yeah, the Cardinals can go face the Dodgers in one game. Anyone can win in baseball, right? The Cardinals could go in there with Adam Wainwright and knock off the Dodgers, Max Scherzer on the bump. The Red Sox, they could run the table. And I'm not saying they're gonna because the odds are against them. But the Red Sox can beat the Rays in a 7-game series. The Red Sox can beat the White Sox in a 7-game series. And they can beat the Astros in a 7-game series. So you just don't know what's going to happen. And it's very, very exciting. And that's why I love playoff baseball because the stakes are raised so much. We look at a 1:00 game and July and we're like, this is just whatever, like nobody wants to be there. I mean, unless you're a crazy baseball fan, like some people, obviously, I'm included in that list. But now it's like we got the rally towels going. It's playoff baseball. That's why I can't wait to watch that game tomorrow night with Garrett Cole on the bump at Fenway because we're starting to get to that playoff atmosphere.
Are you going to be at Fenway tomorrow?
Yeah, I actually right when you were texting me, I bought my ticket. So going standing room only, had to go with the cheap stuff. But hey, I'm going to be there.
It's in the ballpark. That's what I say.
It's in the ballpark, man. Take my camera, do some content. So I'm very excited for it.
We will transition here to NCAA football. I know you're kind of in the Connecticut area. Are you a big UConn fan, even though you may not want to admit it?
So I actually graduated from UConn.
Okay.
So I do root for UConn. I love the Huskies, but they're so bad. I put a bet on them against Holy Cross to cover, what was it, 3.5 minus, I think it might have been -3, but I put a bet on them to cover 3.5. Obviously they didn't do that against Holy Cross. Holy Cross looks good right now, but still an FCS school should not even be a question. And then Army, they backdoor cover against Army, which is unreal, but Army could have beat them by 80 points if they just kept their ones in. So I'm done with UConn. I mean, I can't bet against them.
I mean, I would say it could be worse, but I think Illinois beat UConn last year. So Illinois is just right there, almost, as bad. I'm a season ticket holder for Illinois. Went down to the game last Friday night. Night games at Memorial Stadium are fantastic. Illinois plays really well, and then they kind of crap the bed a little bit down the stretch. They lose on a last-second field goal, 2017, against Maryland. They travel to Purdue this week, 2-1. Purdue did not look great against Notre Dame last week. And I keep saying Illinois is not going to get any better because they're the oldest team in college football. So next year is going to be even worse. And it's just kind of the diatribe I've been on lately, just how bad it is to be an Illinois football fan.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? The Big Ten's tough too, because when you're at the bottom second half, I guess, second tier team in the Big Ten, it can't be fun because there's a lot of good teams in the Big Ten.
And this year is, I think, kind of a down year, even from Wisconsin. I don't know. Iowa, they're kind of – I haven't seen – I mean, they beat Iowa State, but I don't know if Iowa State was really for real this year. I guess we'll see kind of on Saturday where Wisconsin is, because they take on Notre Dame there at Soldier Field.
I don't think Notre Dame's that good, though. I mean,
neither do I. I think Notre Dame is a little, kind of – they get by with the namesake, I think, a little bit. They barely beat a bad Florida State team, and had Florida State not iced their own kicker, that one could have gone a much different way in week one. And I find that college football this year, for whatever reason, is just a lot less interesting to me. I'm a big college football guy, but I just see Alabama outperforming everybody besides, a bad, second half and a really good second half from Florida last week. I mean, Alabama's so far ahead of everybody else. And I feel like it kind of takes away from, college football and I guess anybody having a chance, really.
See, I love college football, especially this year, because last year we didn't have the fans and the pageantry, and that's why I watch it. I mean, I love the game, obviously, but there's nothing like, a Saturday night game at Virginia Tech when they got Enter Sandman going, or the whiteout last week at Penn State. Like, that's the stuff you don't get in the NFL. So that's why I kind of gravitate towards it. But yeah, Alabama's just so much better than everyone else. And people can talk about the Florida Gators almost beating that. Who found a way to win? Alabama, because they're good.
Right.
They didn't win. That's what it comes down to. Florida did not win the game. Alabama won the game. So everyone's making a big deal. Florida covered. Who cares? Alabama won the game.
Right. Exactly. It's sometimes it's not how you win, it's just that you win. Alabama, they've got studs everywhere. I mean, it's not even fair. And I think that if there's going to be one team that's going to challenge them this year, it might be Georgia, because I'm waiting for the other foot to fall with Oklahoma. I'm kind of a closet Oklahoma fan. There's a little bit of connection there. I don't really watch them. I just, look at the scores and kind of that's about it. But I mean, they have time in and time out this year in games that they are predicted to win big. They barely pull out that game. I mean, Tulane last week with Nebraska. This is week 4. They blew out, I don't even know who in week 2. But through 4 weeks, they've had 4 home games. I mean, do they not play on the road?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. This is the whole NCAA schedule, conference realignment. Everyone just go play football. That's my opinion. And I think we need to expand the playoffs too, because I don't like 4 teams getting in, and Alabama's one of them. It doesn't generate a lot of interest for me.
Yeah, I feel, and they could get so much more money out of it too. If you go to a 16 playoff, you give, the 1 and 2 seeds a bye. It doesn't really, I think, affect it too much. It's, one more week of the season, but at the same time, you're going to get more money out of it. And I feel there's a lot bigger of a difference between 6 and 7 than there is between 4 and 5, in my opinion. I think, you could kind of make a coin flip for 4 and 5. You'll probably have a 1-loss team, I'm sure, in the playoffs this year. Will Clemson fight their way back in it? I don't know. I want to talk about the story that came out today. Ohio State's resting CJ Stroud, against Rice this week, and they're not going to play him unless it's an emergency situation due to a shoulder injury. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it depends how bad the shoulder injury is, right? I mean, obviously it's Rice, but again, you always get those games where it's going to be tight. But again, if the shoulder's in a position where he needs to rest, it's a good week to do it against Rice. But I mean, you can't take anyone lightly. And I think that's why Nick Saban's teams have been so good, because whether it's the FCS school or the Florida Gators, he's saying everyone's playing, we're going in with a game plan. We don't overlook anyone. And I think that's kind of, you're giving them some billboard material or a bulletin board material. Again, it's Rice against Ohio State, but still, what do you think about it?
I think I'm kind of along the same lines where if it's an injury, that's kind of serious. You gotta, rest them, but you can't really look past anybody in, the NCAA, in my opinion. And I feel like this move, if he's really not that injured, this one could easily come back to bite him, because Ohio State's been, I can't remember who they played a couple weeks ago, maybe last week, where it was a lot closer than it probably should have been to a not so great team. Obviously, they lost to Oklahoma, which Oklahoma is at number 3. Besides them, beating Ohio State, I don't know what else they'll have on their schedule this year, because the Pac-12 is, Stanford's bad if you lose to Kansas State while they're ranked. I mean, Kansas State's not a football powerhouse. UCLA did so much to only lose it all last week when they lost and somehow stayed in the top 25. You're not getting much out of USC when they fire their coach 3 weeks into the season. I don't think the Pac-12 is that good, in my opinion. So,
well, the bottom line is the Power 5 is there's so much difference within the Power 5. It's the SEC, it's the top end of the SEC, and then everyone else. And right. You know what? They don't play defense in the Big 12. The Big 10s, I think the Big 10's pretty good. Maybe not this year, but overall, the Big 10 has been good. The Pac-12, is the Pac-12 really ever that, consistently? Is the Pac-12 good?
I don't think so. And I think you get, a star year out of one team. You get occasional, maybe a late season run from USC. They played in the Rose Bowl a couple of years ago against Penn State. You had that 1 year with Marcus Mariota and Chip Kelly at Oregon, the first year of the college football playoff. You really don't get much out of USC or UCLA, excuse me. And other than that, no, I don't think you really get much out of them. I mean, what is Utah in the Pac-12?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they kind of had a couple years ago, they had a late run, I think, where they won the Pac-12, but it didn't matter. I think a team that people might be sleeping on that you might see later in the year is Penn State. Penn State beat Auburn at home last week. It's a tough place to play at Happy Valley, but Penn State might be able to beat Ohio State. I think if Penn State's going to do it, it's going to be this year.
Yeah, I like Penn State a lot. It wouldn't surprise me if Penn State wins the Big Ten, honestly. They, like you said, they were at home, but they played well against Auburn. They were efficient, and still they went in, they beat an SEC school, and I don't think a lot of people even thought they were going to beat an SEC school at home.
No, this week, there's really not that many great games. You look at the schedule. The ones that kind of stood out to me were Texas A&M and Arkansas. Texas A&M, I think, is ranked 6 or 7. Yeah. Arkansas is having a little bit better of the year. They're ranked in the top 20. I think that game that'll be decent. West Virginia at Oklahoma. This might be a game where Oklahoma could fall, and especially in the Big 12. West Virginia, big win last week at home against Virginia Tech. I expected Virginia Tech to win that one. UCLA plays Stanford. Not a great game, in my opinion. Obviously, the matchup of the week is Notre Dame, Wisconsin, that first 11 o'clock game.
Yep. It's not a great week, but still, anything's going to happen in college football. I need action back in my life on Wednesday, Tuesday and Wednesdays, or Wednesday and Thursdays. It doesn't start till freaking October. Love that.
Watch out for in the MAC, Northern Illinois.
But they're always good,
right,
for a MAC school.
Exactly. Toledo, they put a close game against Notre Dame, and I feel like maybe was that Toledo that put a close game against Ohio State as well?
Yes,
I can't remember. Was it? Yeah. So, they might be able to make some noise late in the year, but that's pretty much college football for this week. I'm going to skip my high school football segment. Kind of can probably throw that out the window. I was going to do that, but with you not knowing anything about Central Illinois football, we'll go ahead and skip that. It is homecoming week for us here at Metamora.
That's big stuff out there, isn't it? Like the floats and everything and all that.
What, homecoming?
Homecoming, in Illinois.
Yeah, we have parades. So our parade starts at 2:00 tomorrow, and we will drive around town here. And football team, they get put on the fire trucks. I will be driving a truck for the golf team tomorrow as the assistant golf coach. It's all the fall sports pretty well are in the parade. We have our big Hall of Fame float, so we'll have, I believe, 3 or 4 teams from our high school's history being inducted to the Hall of Fame tomorrow, along with a couple of athletes, former athletes as well. It's a big class reunion for the class of 91. In Central Illinois, they kind of take pride in, the Hall of Fame and kind of the past history and whatnot. So homecoming week is always a big week. And our high school right now at 4-0, 2-0 in the conference. We are a football powerhouse in the state of Illinois. So we play a good game against Dunlap tomorrow. So I'll be on the call for that one for our local TV station here. But I'll leave it at that and not bore you too much more with high school football here in Illinois. We'll go to the NFL. I think my first question is to you. What's the most interesting division that you're kind of looking at this year?
Let me think here. I kind of think the AFC North. I like the AFC North. I think the AFC East. But the AFC North is pretty interesting with Baltimore. I just don't know. I don't know who's going to win that division.
I'm a Baltimore fan, so Cleveland has kind of been always that. At least in the last couple of years, they've been kind of right there in the middle. Yeah. I think that they have the talent to win the division, but are they actually going to go out and do it? That's another question. I think last year would have been their year to do it when the Ravens had their COVID issues. And, while the Steelers had a really hot start last year, the Steelers were not that good. And I said it all year, and I was waiting for them to fall flat on their face, and they did in the playoffs. Now with the issues that Ben Roethlisberger is having, I don't know where they're going to go quarterback situational wise. Are they going to go to Haskins? Are they going to go to, what's the dude that got his helmet put through his head? Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, Mason Rudolph. Oh, who's the defensive lineman? The dude for Cleveland.
Yeah. Myles Garrett, yes.
Like the calmest guy in the world. He took a helmet and slammed it over his head. Why worry? The Saints are not, Saeed. The Saints are not when you can't just say your teams are going to win everything. The Saints are terrible. They have Jameis Winston playing quarterback, who is awful. They're going to get beat in New England. We got a big weekend, Saeed, with the Yankees coming to Boston, and then the Saints are coming to New England, Gillette, Foxborough. You're going to lose.
The one division that I was looking at as kind of my most interesting, I think the popular pick would probably be either the AFC North, or the NFC West. I feel the most interesting division to me is the NFC South. Obviously, Tampa Bay is a favorite in that division, but with the hot start that Carolina has, running behind Christian McCaffrey, I'm not trying to buy into it too much, but the Saints are going to be good, I feel. If the Panthers are able to kind of improve a little bit, it's going to make things a heck of a lot more interesting.
I mean, we're talking. We can't be making the comparison Carolina to Tampa Bay. You just can't do it. Come on, man.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's going to be interesting to look at because if Carolina is able to run the table a little bit, they've got a good defense. And the MVP campaign for Jameis went out the window last week when Carolina's defense just picked him off, and he looked like Jameis of the old.
He only threw for 160 yards the week he threw 5 touchdown passes.
Right.
But it wasn't anything. And one of those came on a 60-yard touchdown pass.
Jameis is also a guy that'll throw 50 touchdowns in a year, but he'll follow it up with about 42 interceptions.
Yeah, that's
so. I mean, that's Jameis. But I will say it is with the start that Carolina has. They have Houston this week. They should be able to take care of that against Davis Mills, the guy with 2 last names.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting. Now, Tampa Bay, I mean, they're going to put up 45 every week, and Tom Brady's going to throw for 500 yards because that's just what he does.
But the Bucs are so over. It was more luck than they won the
Super Bowl. The Bucs had one of the best defenses in the NFL last year.
Saeed, man, we're I love your comments. Believe me, I love them. But we can't be putting in these stupid comments here. Last week, But versus the Packers, they've only played 2 games, Saeed. Anyone can be good in one game.
What I want, here's something I want to discuss, is the football. Here's what I hate about the media and sports media. Yeah. We basically crap on Aaron Rodgers all offseason. We crap on him week 1 after he's terrible. He goes out and dominates the Dolphins, the Lions, as he should, because they are a terrible football team. And then I see today, which quarterback's going to be in the race for the MVP? Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers? Is it going to be Mahomes? Is it going to be Allen? And I'm like, we have been crapping on this guy for the last 2.5 months. And then he has one decent week against the worst team in his division and arguably one of the worst teams in the NFC. And now MVP Aaron's back? Give me a break. I'm sorry. Give me a break.
Well, everyone, media overreacts to everything. We know that. It's like, did Aaron Rodgers look like he was disinterested in playing football? Did he look out? He did not look like Aaron Rodgers in week 1, obviously. He follows it up, pretty good performance in week 2, dominant performance. Who am I kidding? And like, everyone thinks that Aaron Rodgers was dead after week 1 because he had the hype about him not wanting to be in Green Bay, blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line with Aaron Rodgers, he's a good quarterback. He wanted to win in week 1. He just didn't. He didn't play well. It's going to happen. Week 2, come out, dominate. It wouldn't surprise me if Aaron Rodgers in the MVP mix. I love him. He's a tough guy to hate, even though a lot of people love to pick on him.
No, and I don't hate him at all. I just hate the way the media has been just getting after him, and then they just it's Aaron Rodgers of the old after he plays Detroit. It's like, come on.
Detroit's going to be good. I'm impressed with them. Like in the future. Not this year. I like Jared Goff. He looks good this year. Jared Goff has impressed me so far.
I don't think they have the right coach at helm, in my opinion. I don't think Dan Campbell's really going to get you anything. They've got to get someone else in there, in my opinion. But, I mean, we'll see. Could they go 0-17 this year? Probably. But, they might get a win against Minnesota because they look terrible too. Story of the week so far, Justin Fields gets his first NFL start this weekend on the road in Cleveland. Is this pretty well the end for Andy Dalton? If this goes somewhat well. I mean, Matt Nagy's still sticking to his guns. Oh, Andy's our guy. But, I mean, come on.
I mean, it should have been the end for Andy Dalton. Well, but who the Bears got after this week? Then they're through the ringer, right?
The Bears after this week, I believe they get they play the Lions, and then they do play the Raiders, Packers, Buccaneers, Niners, Steelers, Ravens. So
this is a good week for them because it's a tough defense, and then you get a little off week, and then you go right into another just killer slate.
Right. I mean, after Detroit, I mean that next 6 games does not look fun.
No.
And kind of my question is, we're going to switch to stay in the same area code, if you will. Is it time to panic in Indy? They're 0-2. Carson Wentz can't stay healthy. And kind of my follow-up question, is it time to panic in Indy? Is it time to panic a little bit on Carson Wentz? And then we might be reaching the bust area for Carson Wentz.
I think we've reached the bust area a long time ago at Carson Wentz. I've never been high on him. I will say one thing. The Indianapolis Colts are very beat up. So we got to factor that into the equation. But I'm not high on Wentz at all. I don't. He's had realistically one really good season. Right?
Right. Well, and it was a season that he couldn't even finish because he got hurt and had to leave it to Nick Foles, which I think the Eagles were one of the best teams. They had one of the best offensive lines that year. They had a really good defense. I think you could have put, myself at quarterback, and I probably could have let him. But here's the thing: had Cody Parkey not double doinked it in the first round of the playoffs, that run never would have happened. It would have been over right there. Yeah. So, I mean, yes, while it would have been, his season, he couldn't even finish it off because he wasn't able to stay healthy.
Yeah, I'm not super high on him because I feel like when things don't go his way, I see him complaining more than actually going out there and trying to do something about it, in my opinion. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not on the sidelines with him, which is what I see on TV, what I read, media I consume. I get the feeling he's a little bit of a crybaby.
A little bit, and I kind of agree with that. We're going to move on to the Colton's Top 10 segment here. I give my top 10 NFL teams every week. Last week we had going in reverse 10-1. Here we go. The Browns, Baltimore, Buffalo, the Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals, New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Tampa Bay. a little bit of a shuffle this week. At number 10, coming in hot after a brutal week 2 loss, we've got the Seattle Seahawks. They probably should have won that game, and they kind of let Tennessee off the hook a little bit, and Tennessee's now able to get back at 1-1. There's a big difference, in my opinion, between 0-2 and 1-1. Huge difference. I think it's like, 16% of teams make the playoffs after they go 0-2 or something like that.
10.1.
10.1. So, I mean, there's a big difference. And, Pete Carroll had things to say about Russell Wilson after the game, and I don't get it, but I got them at number 10. Right in front of them, division-friendly San Francisco. I've got them at number 9. Buffalo comes in at number 8. And then dropping from, I believe, 3 last week. Yep, 3 all the way down to 7 goes Pittsburgh. To all my Pittsburgh friends that trash talk me to losing to Vegas in week 1, suck it. You get what comes around. Yeah. And at number 6, I've got Baltimore. A big win for us. I was, going nuts at about 10:30, Central Time here after that fumble. It was a big win for us, and especially with how beat up they are, you'll take them when you can get them, especially against the Chiefs, to kind of get the monkey off the back for Lamar, if you will.
Huge win.
Huge
win. Like, and the way they got it too, going for, I mean, that's just balls right there. And right. Harbaugh asking Lamar to go for, of course Lamar's going to say yes. I give credit to Harbaugh there because he was going for it no matter what.
Right. Well, and Harbaugh's kind of that coach that he's willing to live on the edge a little bit. And so it's a big win.
Yeah, you punt the ball at Patrick Mahomes, he's going to go 90 yards and win the game. You give him the ball on the 50-yard line, he's going to win the game. So it didn't really matter.
Exactly. Right in front of them at number 5, I've got Kansas City. Obviously a tough loss for them, but I still think that they'll be fine. At number 4, jumping up, we've got Vegas. They have impressed me a lot this year. I was not expecting much out of them with kind of one of the worst defenses in the AFC, but Derek Carr seems to be finding that fountain of youth a little bit. Got great targets in Braylon Edwards and the tight end. He's on my fantasy team. I'm drawing a blank here. Darren Waller. So they're finding their way in Vegas. So I'm kind of impressed with them. At number 3, I'm slowly starting to buy into the hype a little bit with the Los Angeles Rams. I think this week's going to be make or break for them. Matt Stafford looks pretty good when he's got weapons around him. Kind of ironic how that works. So I think this week for them, hosting Tampa Bay is going to be a big week for them.
That's a good defense. Or 4 o'clock game.
That is the 3:20. Yeah, so the 4 o'clock game for you. Yep. At number 2, Arizona. Kyler Murray and that offense are rolling right now. Not to mention the amazing season so far in 2 weeks that their defense is having. Chandler Jones had 5 sacks in week 1. So I've got them up at number 2. And for the 3rd week straight, Tampa Bay at number 1. Until they lose, they're not going anywhere.
I like it. Hey, good job.
All right, we'll move on to our pick'em, and that will do it for us here tonight. So far through, I believe, 3 weeks now or so. Let me find my banner. There we go. The Pigskin Pick'em, I'm 17-11. Not great. Rodney's been our one guest. He was 7-4 the week that he was here. So, Tanner, you will be our second guest on the Pigskin Pick'em.
All right.
And we'll see where you rank after this week on our leaderboard. The first game, Notre Dame versus Wisconsin at Soldier Field. I'll take Wisconsin in this one.
I'm going with Wisconsin too. I don't think Notre Dame's good. Shouldn't say Notre Dame's not good. I think they're the hype. I mean, we look back at the national championship year when they got their asses kicked in the national championship game. Like, it was like they didn't play anyone all year.
Right.
Or the playoff, whatever it was back in the day.
Yes, whatever it was. Game number 2 is, I believe it's the West Virginia at Oklahoma. I don't like it. I'm going to go with Oklahoma because I'm still waiting for this other foot to fall. But I think if Oklahoma wants to be a Final Four team, they've got to get it going at some point.
Yeah, you look at West Virginia last week against Virginia Tech. Beat them. It wasn't a great game on either side. You got to go with Oklahoma. I mean, they're surviving.
Let's see, a third game, and this was one that I did in our in a Bet US article for the Big 12 Roundup. One that I'm looking at is Texas Tech at Texas. Texas is kind of struggling a little bit so far this year. I still think they're trying to find their identity in their offense. They haven't quite figured out their quarterback situation, whether it's going to be Hudson Card or Thompson. Thompson came in last week and played really well. Texas Tech is good. They're 3-0 so far. They have wins over Houston. Now, they have wins over Houston, Stephen A. Austin, and Florida International. So it's not like they've really beat anybody, but 3 wins is 3 wins. So they'll get their first test this week. I'm going to go with Texas.
Texas at home?
Yes.
Yeah, I like Texas at home. That's a tough place to play. I think it's Memorial Stadium. All right, whatever it is.
Something like that, yeah.
I like Texas at home. Tough place.
40,000 Memorial Stadiums in this world, Illinois being one of them.
Yeah.
Moving to the NFL, we got Chicago at Cleveland. I just think that Cleveland's going to be a little bit too much. I would like to see Chicago play well just for regional reasons here. Makes, sports talk a little bit easier in this town. But I got to go with Cleveland.
Yeah, I like Cleveland as well. Chicago, I don't see Justin Fields doing much this week.
Indianapolis at Tennessee. We know that Indianapolis is beat up. Tennessee's still trying to find their way, in my opinion, with adding new weapons. But I like the Titans in this one.
Yeah, I love the Titans as well. I think the week 1, the Arizona game was a little bit of a fluke. I mean, not a fluke. They just didn't play well, but I think Titans are legit.
This is a matchup that always kind of comes back to bite me. Chargers at Kansas City. This is a game where the Chargers always play Kansas City close. And I think last year they even eked out one against Kansas City. Or maybe Kansas City won on a game-winning field goal. I can't remember. But this is one that's always played well too close for my liking. I'm going to go Kansas City, but I'm not 100% confident in it.
I am 100% confident that Kansas City will win this football game. 100%. You look at Patrick Mahomes, they start slow. They know how to win. We saw it against the Browns in week 1. They know how to win games. They didn't do it against the Ravens, but I do like the Chiefs. Bounce back week.
This will probably be the 3:25 Central Time, 4:25 Eastern, the afternoon game. I hope we don't get stuck with Minnesota and Seattle here in Central Illinois. We probably will. But Tampa Bay at Los Angeles, this is a marquee matchup. Rodney's got the Rams in his Super Bowl. I believe he's got, Rams and Buffalo, and I think Buffalo winning. But Tampa Bay, the Rams, I'm going with the Bradys.
Yeah, I can't argue. Today, 20-year anniversary, I believe. 20-something year anniversary of Tom Brady, of Drew Bledsoe's hit.
Oh, yep. Yeah, I did see that today.
Yeah.
I think it was like 20 or 20 years, something like that.
You see what Brady did week 1 against Dallas, just the look on his face after driving him down the field. He's a bad man. You got to go with him.
Sunday Night Football on NBC, you will have Green Bay visiting San Francisco. This was the game last year where I believe Aaron Rodgers went right down the field and scored and gave the old Super Bowl belt thing, and then the 49ers proceeded to put up 35 straight on them or something like that. It got ugly quick. I'm still not 100% in on Green Bay. I don't really like San Francisco either, especially after the 2 close wins that they've had in the first 2 weeks, but I'll go with the 49ers here.
So I'm gonna disagree with you. I'm gonna go with the Packers. I think the 49ers game in Philadelphia scared me a little bit. They just did not look good at all. And I don't think Philly's anything special by any means. So I'm gonna go with the Packers. I think Aaron Rodgers keeps rolling and they're gonna win that game.
The next game is, the team that you just said you don't think they're special, Philly at Dallas Monday night on ESPN. It's got to be Dallas. It's got to be Dallas.
Dallas blows them off the field. Dallas is good this year.
I've been saying that. I said it last year that Dallas was going to be good, and then Dak got hurt after 3 or 4 weeks, and that went downhill real quick. But their defense is much improved. That offense is still as good as advertised. Dallas should easily run away with this division.
Yeah, 100%. I love Dallas.
Then tonight's game, Carolina at Houston, Thursday Night Football. I believe on NFL Network tonight. Is that right?
Yeah.
we're going to see Christian McCaffrey on the national stage. That game kicks off, I think, in about 5 minutes. I like Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna roll with Carolina. I'm not.
I'm seeing a lot of people are big on Houston this week in the betting world, and a lot of people are big on Minnesota, and I don't quite understand.
What's the points at? I would maybe take Houston on the points, but
I think it's Houston -8, or Carolina -8. Excuse me.
Yeah, that scares me. Carolina -8. Like I would think it would be more like -12.5 or something. But I don't know. I mean, I like Carolina.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where people are kind of hyping up Minnesota because they've been absolutely horrible with a coach who will be on the hot seat, in my opinion, and a quarterback who's on the hot seat. I still don't know. I mean, besides Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson, yeah, but that defense has kind of seen its better days.
Yeah.
And they're, I think Chicago is going to be the second best team in that division by, the end of the year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think when Justin Fields gets going, when he actually has a little taste of it, he's going to be pretty damn good.
Well, Tanner, I appreciate you coming on. Last minute notice. It was fun talking with you. But that will do it for us here this week on the Colten Kahler Show on Thursday nights. We're moving to Thursday nights for a while until you hear otherwise. Again, Tanner, thanks for coming on. And that'll do it for us here this week. And we'll see you next week on the Colten Kahler Show.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.